Hey everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. So for smaller ISPs, it's a little bit harder decision on whether or not they're going to compete for BEAD funding. That could have to do with just their size and the amount of regulations that they have. It could be having to do with financial issues, such as coming up with a 25% match or the letter of credit. There's a private equity company that stepped up that said they will help. Be right back with some details. Thanks for joining me. Rick Husey here with Broadband Deployment News. So I want to talk about this today. And before I get into this, I wanted to mention that if you are a small internet service provider, or really any internet service provider, and you need assistance, and that would include with maybe finding a source for some financing or help with that, help with completing your grants, reach out to us because we do have resources that we can refer you to there that we can help in several different ways with your broadband business, whether you're new to it or and just starting out or have been in it, we can help. And we do have resources that can help with that as far as things like financing and helping with grants, those kinds of things. So reach out to us. You see our contact information there. But I did want to mention this article that I saw, and this is not an endorsement for this company because I don't know them. But I wanted to make sure that you're aware of this article that I saw here and that these folks have said that they will step up and help here. So you see, private financing could help rural ISPs meet BEAD requirements. Rural internet service providers could find financial support through a new offering from the Avery companies designed to help them meet the requirements for the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, or the BEAD program. This week, the private investment company announced a new initiative to support BEAD applicants in rural and underserved areas by providing the funds needed to obtain a letter of credit. That is a big issue for internet service providers, especially smaller ones, because basically the letter of credit requires that, those funds be basically in the bank and you can't touch them. They're just sitting there. So in addition to any match that you've got to do, you've got to set aside that money to be able to then qualify for this. So that is a big burden, especially on small ISPs. So you see here, currently BEAD subsidy seekers are required to provide the NTIA with a letter of credit from a bank as evidence that they have at least 25% of the grant dollar amount in a cash bank account. That capital would need to be set aside for the entire duration of a BEAD-funded project. With this new initiative, the Avery companies will step in as the capital source for approved ISPs, posting credit on their behalf to secure letter of credits from banks, which could also free up their balance sheets to make it easier to start and complete broadband projects on time without incurring fines or other penalties. The idea here is to really give smaller operators the tools necessary to be able to compete and succeed, said Ben Friedman, managing partner of the Avery companies. Other programs like the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, or RDOF, saw a lot of funding awarded to top-tier public market players that have significantly different balance sheet dynamics and availability of capital, Freeman noted. But they're not necessarily building in the places where the government and, frankly, the broader swath of America needs internet access. And that's a good point because the large providers, they've stayed out of these areas purposely, really, because they're expensive. And so they are going to focus their attention on the areas that have got more subscribers, where it's easier to deploy the service. And then in these rural areas, you've got a lot of times rural independent telephone companies or cable companies, independent fixed wireless companies that have stepped up and are providing the service, but it's much more expensive, obviously. And in some cases, they've been able to get service deployed, but then it's been very expensive to get it kind of where it needs to be today as far as future-proof. So you've got a lot of independent telephone companies and really some of the larger phone companies, frankly, AT&T and Verizon and others that have got DSL out there that have not been able to upgrade that to fiber because it's hard to make the ROI case for that. So that is one of the issues. And again, smaller operators, somebody like AT&T and Verizon, they can come up with the funding needed and go through all the rigmarole and jump through the hoops and the paperwork and everything to get BEAD funding much easier than a small company. And the letter of credit, same thing. So that's what this is aimed at. The Avery companies offer already has significant amount of interest and a number of far-along conversations, according to Friedman, with no limit to what the company is willing to financially back. It will also look to help the service providers roll their projects out, whether it be with permitting, the subsidy application, or finding appropriate equipment and construction crews. So it sounds like they're trying to help there as well. And by the way, we can help there as well. So just keep us in mind if Again, you need assistance with finding the kinds of resources you need to deploy the broadband. We can help with that. The end goal is to be a service solution for Even Told Fierce to ensure the returns for the ISP or whoever may be building the project are as high and as efficient as possible, and that the government is getting the most efficient return to ensure that we're able to provide internet access to these underserved communities. The letter of credit requirement has received criticism from smaller providers who say it will block small and community-centered ISPs, minority and women-owned providers, nonprofits, and municipalities, the very entities the program aims to prioritize. And that's true. The program would prefer that nonprofits, especially municipalities, electric membership co-ops, prefer that those kinds of companies provide the service, because it does help keep prices down if you've got a not-for-profit. Or, again, smaller providers quite often are able to provide the service maybe less expensive than a large operation might. From participating, industry groups have approached the NTIA with alternative options for smaller providers and municipalities. And the last thing I heard was the NTIA is considering that. Here in a letter to the NTIA last month, several industry groups claim that factoring the additional 25% match requirement, awardees will face a capital hurdle of more than 60% of their grant. For example, a provider seeking a $7.5 million grant for a $10 million project would need to have at least $4.6 million of their own capital available up front. So you're talking about the match that they need plus this letter of credit. The letter of credit requirements intended to ensure accountability in the distribution of broadband grants by the NTA has raised concerns that may hinder participation for ISPs best suited to connect underserved communities, the letter stated. Instead of safeguarding taxpayer funds, the LOC creates prohibitive capital barriers. That said, in August, the NTIA did acknowledge that in some cases an alternative to LOCs may be appropriate, such as for municipalities who can access capital in the bond market, and urge states and territories to accommodate these differences in establishing their requirements. An NTIA representative previously told Fierce that the administration is open to LOC alternatives if they are necessary and sufficient to ensure that the program's objectives are met. So it sounds like they're open. They haven't yet come out and said that there are other possibilities. There's another one, I can't remember the term of it, but it's where you don't need to have all of the funds sitting in a bank. I think it's a performance bond. Yeah, I think it was a performance bond. So you don't need to have all of the funds sitting in the bank doing nothing. It's like you can do that much less expensively, but it still is something that provides the security, I think, that the NTA is looking at, make sure that these companies that are going to be doing this can financially back up what they're doing. So again, I am not endorsing this company because I don't know them. I did link to this article as well as to this press release right here that is from the Avery Company, their press release on PR Newswire. And there's a link in here. I had a hard time finding their website, which is never a good sign. I searched for them, but then I did find the email here, and that gave me their domain name. So this is their website, and this is all there is to it, as far as I can tell, is their name and email address. So I will let you do your due diligence on this company. I just wanted to make you aware of it if you are a smaller ISP or any ISP looking for maybe some financing there. But again, if you are and you're not sure about that, or you want to check out other opportunities or alternatives, reach out to us. Again, we have resources that we can put you in contact with that can help you with that. So don't forget us. You see our email address there and our phone number and our website. So reach out if you need help. If you like this video, if you give me a like on the video, I'd appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and you'll be notified when I'm live. Thanks for joining me today. See you next time. Bye-bye.